What are you currently doing to become a pilot? This question is going to be the title of the video. And the reason is because it's a broad question, but I'm going to go into details of sub questions. And the first one I'm going to ask you is, why do you want to become a pilot? A lot of times when you tell yourself that you want to become a pilot, if it's not really ingrained in some things like passion, motivation, and a sense of drive towards the goal, your actions will be, subpar. And that will tell even in when you try to go for training and how you approach training, how you study, how you prepare. That would really tell on those things. And that will also tell your performance in the industry as well, and how you approach things in the industry. Why? And that's why a lot of times when you go for these interviews, they really want to understand that you're truly passionate about the field. So ask yourself that question: why do you want to become a pilot? Or why do you want to be a pilot? The next one is, are you in school studying sciences? Now, you don't have to be have a science background to become a pilot. You can study history, you can study whatever you want and still be a pilot. But the point here is, when you have the sciences down, it does give you a little bit of advantage in understanding some of the concepts that you will learn when you start training, especially the theoretical aspect of things. So what are you doing, or what are you studying? Are you currently studying sciences? That will give you an advantage. If you're the type of person that you don't like math, and trust me, right? Most of the math you use in flying are basic math. Trust me, that's just the truth about it. But you have to develop some affinity and likeness for those science stuff. The next question I'm going to ask you is, what have you done so far in your pursuit of this goal? Now, when I ask people these questions, a lot of times it's like, well, they don't have money. Well, that's an excuse. And I understand, one of the biggest barriers into the aviation world right now is money. Training is expensive and not a lot of people are able to afford it. But do away with the excuses. What are you, or what have you done so far in your pursuit? And a lot of things that you can do. A lot of times I've met people that they enrolled themselves in a program in school so that they can earn money and then go train to become a pilot. A lot of times people are saying they're currently saving. A lot of times people are saying that they are maybe applying to programs. That's something they are currently doing in pursuit of this goal. But to come back and say that, well, you don't have money, is really just an excuse. And I don't want you to fall into that trap. Rather than looking for excuses, why don't you take actions and steps that can aid in achieving the goal? The next question I will ask you is, how does your current job or education tie into the world of aviation? It's so important, because when you go for an interview, or you are currently, let's say you're doing a job and there's no path to aviation world, guess what? You're likely going to be stuck in that field. And that is why sometimes a lot of people will put themselves in an aviation environment, maybe become a cabin crew, maybe become a flight attendant, maybe become an aircraft dispatcher. The point is, they want to just stay in the aviation industry, right? Somewhere there. And then they can transition to become a pilot. Some people will become maintenance technicians, because that's a little bit cheaper to get into. And then once they get into that, they slowly build their experiences, they slowly build their network, and then they start to fly, and eventually they transition to becoming a pilot. Yes, it might take a little bit longer, but they have a plan and they're sticking to the plan. The next question to this is, how are you developing your aviation knowledge? I think this is so important because when you are thinking of becoming a pilot, a lot of times we just focus on the big stuff, like, oh yeah, you just want to fly an airplane and fly the 737 or flying the 78 or Airbus 350, whatever the airplane may be. But how about the knowledge of flying itself? How are you developing that knowledge? Because when you go in for those interviews, or when you have to take those tests and they are testing your aviation knowledge or your technical knowledge, guess what? You are likely going to miss out because you haven't prepared adequately for those things. So I hope that this is making sense for you. If you are finding value in this, please don't forget to drop a like. Of course, don't forget to subscribe. Next question. Do you have the funds? And if not, what are your plans to raise the funds? Now, and like I've mentioned earlier, the funds is usually where people get stuck. But what are you doing to raise funds? And I'm not going to spend more time on this because I already spent, time discussing that earlier. Now, in line with raising funds, you have scholarship programs, you have cadet programs, you have joining the military, you have using loans. And I think I've covered that in one of the live sessions that I did, I believe last week. If you can go to my live section on my channel, you'll be able to find that video. It's the most recent live. But the point here is, there are so many options out there. Now, The follow-up question to that will be, how many of the scholarship programs have you applied to? Because guess what? You can't just wake up one morning and then apply to this program and expect to be selected. It doesn't work that way. It does come with a lot of preparation, studying, and making sure that you are well prepared for these opportunities. A lot of times, a lot of people go in with the mindset of, oh, well, they are applying, they've been called for an interview, let me just show up and they will like me. It doesn't work that way. There has to be some preparation that needs to go into it. Next question. All right. This is really helping you to tailor your appearance, tailor your first impression, things of that nature. And that's where your CV comes in. Now, do you have a CV? Have you made your CV? And have you worked on that CV so that it represents you pretty well? Now, in line with making your CV are things like, do you volunteer? Or what extracurricular activities do you do? Remember, everybody does have this qualification of, say, high school certificate or GCSE requirements. Everybody do have those things. A lot of people do have it anyway. And you need to be able to stand out. And the things that make you stand out are the professional things that you do, or volunteering activities that you do, or the extracurricular activities that you do. You know, and that leads me to my next question, which would be, what professional organizations are you part of? You're right. Being part of a professional organization does help you network, helps you to meet the right people, helps you to get the right opportunities that are available to you, and you could end up finding sponsorships through those organizations. If you are not doing those things, it will be hard for you to really get into the world of aviation. Then the last question that I'm going to ask you for this particular one is, are you familiar with pilot selection tests or assessments? And that's why I talk about PASS. If you go check the link of this video, you'll see the link to pilotassessment.com. That's PASS anyway. And you can see various airlines and get a feel for the assessments that they test for. And you can use my Steven Aviate discount code to save some money. But the point here is, being familiar with those assessments will help you prepare your mind, help you shape your understanding of what is expected. And when you go in for that assessment, at least give yourself a higher chance of success. Now we can talk about things like preparing for interviews. We can talk about things and how you can understand pilot competencies, and the list goes on. But these are the questions that I wanted to ask you. And these are about 10 questions or so that I've posed at you. And if you have missed any of the questions, you can kindly rewatch this video, because these questions are so important in order for you to know that you are doing the right things in preparation for the opportunity that may come your way. If you have found value in this one, please don't forget to drop a like on the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next one.